Hello. In this video, we're going to be discussing InDesign, the basic start of a few important functions that will really help you with layout. So we'll be creating something like this, where we wrap the text around an image, how to make a drop cap, how to work with bullets, and also with numbers, and also how to do tables. Along with this, we'll be talking about master pages, how to import images correctly in InDesign, how to type along a path, and do certain things that might seem familiar in Photoshop or Illustrator, but just function a little bit differently in InDesign. So let's get started. So this is the basic layout of InDesign. When I want to create something new, and I already have my page open, I'm going to go to File, New, and New Document, or Command N. Now with this, sometimes you'll see that this is set up where it says picas, but that's just the measurement of type. And so is points, if you think of 12-point type. So I would work in inches. It's just easier for us to read. And you can also go to print, letter size, and then change that. Sometimes yours will automatically go to inches, sometimes it will be set as something different, but all you have to do is go under units and change that. Also, a big thing here is facing pages. Facing pages is great for layouts. So if you're doing a magazine layout, some type of editorial, this is great. Booklets, wonderful. But if you're just doing sort of a page after page of a PDF presentation, you do not want this layout. So for today, we're not going to be working with that. So I'm going to click off of that, and I have one page. Now, if you know you're going to do 12 pages or 15 pages, you can automatically put that in, but I'll show you how to do that a different way as well. So create. So going back to my original one, let's point out a few things here. You can see a lot of these tools will look the same in some aspects to your Photoshop or Illustrator, but they might function a little bit differently. So we have the direct selection tool here, A, that does function differently. And we also have the page. Now this is great because if for some reason maybe I just put in a different size that I didn't want, I can push this, or I can rotate a page easily in my documentation as long as it's highlighted. So I have to click, make sure that's highlighted. You can see that with like the little blue boxes and stuff, and it will rotate everything as much as it can. But I don't want that, I want this one. But still, this is great for if you need to work with the height or width, you need to work with the size, or just rotating it. It's a great, fast way to do that, which isn't so easy in the other programs to do. We have our type tool, pen tool, smooth, pencil, and erase. So those are basically normal. Different ways that you can bring in objects. So when you're working with bringing in images, you have to do that appropriately, or else it won't save correctly. And things can get distorted and pixelated with images. I know that seems sort of funky, but that's just the way InDesign works. And it does help a lot when you're sending large files to maybe a different designer or someone who's finishing up your files. You have everything there and it's working appropriately. So you're looking for the shapes with the X through it. For different shapes, you can bring images in automatically. Well, there's other ways to do that as well, but this is just a fast sort of tool to do that. Here's your shape tools right here, so you can make those. You can also pen tool and put different things together. Scissors, free transform, gradient, eyedropper, hand tool, remember that's for moving around the page, zoom, and you can still toggle back and forth between stroke and fill by using X on the keyboard. Now over here, if you're missing something that I might have up, it's most likely under window, and then just come over here and try to find it. And also, if you might have a different layout than me. So right now I'm on typography. You might need to put it on book or essentials, something different like that. But the big things we're going to be working with are pages for right now. and paragraph styles, etc. So with pages, if we open here, we have these things called master pages. So a master page, when it's applied to a page, controls that page. So let's go on master A, and you can see I have this blue little shape here. If I go on master B, I have the yellow shape. So if I come here, you can see that I hovered over it and it said A master, and if I come over here, it will say B master. Let me just flip that back. There we go. Now everything's good. This will say B master. So you have a B and an A. Now, the reason why that is because you see the yellow, and here you see that bluish color. So let's say if I wanted to change that, all I have to do is click and drag, hover over, and that color has changed. So A masters and B masters, and the great thing is you can have as many masters as you want. So this is wonderful for when you set up grid systems. You can incorporate those in different ways, or maybe you have a book layout or several spread magazine, and some pages are just black with white type, and others are full of type with a different grid system. You can incorporate all of those in there. And it's also how you number pages, which we won't get into this video, but we can do that another time. So again, all I had to do is double click, and I can come here and let's say I move that there. Now it's right there. So easy changes, great for doing the grid. Now, in order to do the grid, what I always like to do is make my own. And I take those for my sketches, or I just go with basic grid systems that I start to incorporate. And just like all the other programs, you just click and pull your guides, and you start to create a grid system from that. So grids can be simple, they can be complex, but it's really great to work with the grid just to first to start to feel comfortable with that, and make sure everything's aligned with that. And also what I'd like to show you is, this is sort of a operating sort of view, and I really like to work in this when I'm figuring out my system and my grid system, everything like that. But when I want to see what it looks like sort of in a finished look, all I have to do is click on W, and it just blocks out that extra noise that's not really the thing that will be printed. And you can come down here and you can view that as well. So if you come down to this box, it's going to have different ways that you can view that. So it could be normal, which is, everything's seen. Preview. If you have bleeds, that's one thing. Slugs are different, and presentation is really nice too. It enlarges it and it puts it on black. So the details really stand out with that. So I would definitely get accustomed to working with multi-pages, making sure you understand the preview and the page layouts here, and how you can change and alter that very easily. You can also work with layers. I do find myself that if it's an easier design, I normally just work on one layer, but if it's more complex and complicated, which a lot of layouts can be, I would strongly suggest working with layers. But for something as simple as this, it just wasn't necessary for me personally at this time. But they do have it, and I strongly recommend it. So you can see all the little extra things I've been doing, and I was just playing around with to set this up, and you can see how images can bleed off with